Hello folks, it is Friday and you know what that means. We are getting into some mental health today. Oh yes, it is the first one in a while where we've had enough stories and nightmares coming in that I put a few to the side and thought, you know what, I'll cover these when there's not a lull, but when I choose there's going to be a Friday where we have a little bit of a sit down and we talk about maybe things that are going on in your lives and the lives of others around you that have affected you and your hobby over the past couple of months, or years even, as we go past a few of these stories. But just remember one thing, just as you will see the dawn in this video, right? Eventually, the sun will come up, everything will get better, things will get better for you. I can promise you, as long as you keep getting up, and you keep trying every day, and you keep putting one foot in front of the other, eventually things get better. They do. And anybody who tells you they don't, is lying to you and should be thrown in the bin, and that bin should be thrown in the sea. Alright? Good. First of all, let's jump into our first, not hobby nightmare. This is going to be a 40k rant sort of a video, but it is going to be on, general problems people face in the hobby, because there are three, well, at least two, hobby nightmares, quote unquote, that were sent in to me that I thought would work better in a video like this, where we talk about how to get past certain things in regards to your hobby and how you might feel towards it and how you might feel to the people around you, sort of a thing, right? It feels Friday, we'll do what we want. But Mark got back in touch with me. This is the first one we're going to cover today. And Mark was the young man with cancer who we saw a few weeks ago, who, instead of getting treatment right away for something that could literally kill him, decided to go to a Warhammer tournament and have fun there instead, whilst he was in pain from, the cancer that he'd got. And I went off my head at Mark. I completely lost my noggin. And I didn't understand it. I was like, dude, that is a really irresponsible thing to do. You've got a wife and kids. You should be going and getting yourself sorted out. It doesn't matter about your toy soldiers. Put them away. Be a man. Do some man stuff right now. And a few people in the comments were like, well, you can't say that to him. It's his choice if he wants. Yeah, I agree it's his choice. And he made the wrong one, in my opinion. But anyway, Mark got back to me with a very mature email and one that does explain his situation. And yeah, let's have a little read of it, shall we? So he says, "Hi Northern, it's Mark again. You may remember me from my story about heading out to a Warhammer tournament while I had cancer. Well, for me, it was a tough listen. I bet it was. And I'm sorry if it was tough for you. I did have my wife listen in, and she died laughing at the throwing me into a sack comment. You made her day. Well, at least I made somebody's day. I understand your critiques and think that probably would have been the best path forwards. Well, there you go. You would have been surprised, though, how many people, including the doctors, actually encouraged me to do the tournament. It was bad luck to get cancer, but at the time, good luck it was, the type of cancer that I had. Very slow-moving, predictable, and curable. The real reason it even got to such a state, I think, is because of the overwhelmed nature of the medical system around the COVID times. I was pretty well told to rub some dirt in it and walk it off when I raised a lot of my concerns. The testing I was fighting for deemed unnecessary and insurance would never cover it, so I assure you that I do feel very lucky, a different type of cancer, and I was a dead man. Well, yeah, this is just me though, Mark, like cancer is cancer to me. I don't care. Like whatever I get, I'm getting it sorted right there and then. And now, if I'm a single dude, and I want to go play some toy soldiers instead of getting my cancer treatment, yeah, it's still a stupid thing to do, even with a really slowly progressing cancer. It's still cancer, dude. It's still a ticking time bomb, right? So in my family, touch wood, but in my family, I have a lot of prostate cancer, right? So in the next couple of years, I'm going to start getting my, my rectum examined, which I'm very much looking forward to, but don't tell the missus. So yeah, I'm going to go start getting that done over the next couple of years. And if anybody ever said to me, oh, you got this going on, dude, I'm dropping everything. And that's a slow-moving cancer. That's not an aggressive cancer normally. I'm still dropping everything and I'm getting that sorted. Why? Because I've got a missus. I'm trying for a family, and I want to be here, you know, and sometimes you've got to make big boy decisions that you don't want to do. That was my issue last time, right? The way you wrote it made it seem like you were prioritizing having a good time playing with your toy soldiers than actually sorting this stuff out. You know what I mean? I will point out, however, that people react to that news really differently. It's kind of insane how exponentially different a scale the emotions are when it's you having it versus a scare, or seeing a loved one go through it. Anyways, I kind of felt I needed that preamble, as it's also a bit of context for the next nightmare. Don't worry, not a medical problem this one, just kind of a three-parter that leads up to decidedly a first world dilemma. Alright, so we're going into the cancer stuff here. So I got cancer, and started with the treatments. One of the guys at the club runs a charity benefit for me. Side note, any advice on how to get him successfully nominated as a Warhammer hero would be greatly appreciated, by the way. I picked up the flute when my lungs went bad to train up better lung capacity. Eventually, I am waiting for my final results. Alright, man, well, if you give me his name and whatever I can do to get his store on the channel, I'll do that. No problem. Now, the interesting thing about at least my character treatment... Now, the interesting thing about at least my cancer and treatment was that you can take a CT scan right after chemotherapy is done. If the tumours were under a certain diameter, blammo, cancer-free, as the tumours are no longer visible. If the tumours are too big, then you have to wait a month for a PET scan, as the chemo drugs are still working in your system. Side note, here chemo makes your pee smell horrendous. God, nothing makes my stomach turn quite as bad as getting a whiff of something that smells like that. I do not recommend it. Fair enough. The job part of the nightmare starts off when I get my CT scan back and the tumours are all over the lower limit threshold of visibility. No biggie, wait a month and see the PET scan. Well, I get a phone call from HR. I've been out on this high-dose chemo treatment for too long. They want to let me go. I basically tell them I'm just waiting for these results in a month. They still want to let me go. I mentioned I had been a successful engineer for the company for 10 years and they can wait a damn month for me to get my results back. They acquiesce as I was friendly with the head nurse, but say otherwise it will be company policy to let me go. Wow. Wow. That's your job, trying to fire you because you've got cancer. Wow. Dude, even Games Workshop wouldn't do this. Games Workshop, right? As much as they have absolute chuckleheads in their company who make your life a living hell if they don't like you, the actual people whose job is to take care of you are bloody good at their jobs at Games Workshop. Alright? I mean, if you have a family bereavement or anything like that, yeah, I drew the short straw at Games Workshop. I was surrounded by idiots. Like, nearly everybody I came across who was above me hated my guts. Like, just didn't like me. Just rubbed them completely up the wrong way. Right? Whereas, like, a lot of other people, like, they got along with who were absolute horrible to everybody else, right? So there'd be other managers who were horrible to everybody else around them, but, you know, upper management seemed to like them. You know, go figure. But even then, you know, if something really bad happened to me, that's when the crisis team would take over at Games Workshop. You would stop dealing with the idiot and you'd start dealing with the people behind the scenes who are supposed to look after you, right? And those people would come in and they do look after you. They do an amazing job at looking after you. Especially with bereavement and things like that. Yeah. Because then they know, if they surround you with these idiots, you may end up doing a war crime on them or something. Alright. Mind you, these HR knuckleheads are the guys who told me the wrong application method for disability payments. So I was getting 20% of my full disability payments for the tune of 3 to 4 months. Seriously, that guy who ran the tournament made a big impact on my life by raising that money. Well, dude, give me his details. Well, the results came back in from the PET scan, and I get the all clear. Then it was time to make a go at a new normal. Okay, good. I knew I'd be a step lower mentally, so I was quite concerned as being clever is what puts me ahead of other people and puts bread on my table. That and the experiences with HR left me a bit concerned. But I was a pretty big, popular and senior contributor to the factory. I was hoping it would work out well. I get back into the office and thankfully I find myself slower by a hair but able to cope. What I found though is that I have a new manager. My role is basically more reduced to a junior engineer and my responsibilities have been greatly reduced. At this point, I should have been getting groomed to replace the senior engineer as he was by retirement and it was a smaller site. I voice these concerns and they get ignored. I'm supposed to be able to get reasonable accommodation on the battery of tests I need. But it was unacceptable to the schedule to schedule an early morning test to come in late and then they stay. I don't know what that means, man. That's a gobbledygook sentence. But it was unacceptable to schedule an early morning test to come in late and then they stay late. Or come in early and leave early for an afternoon test. Right, so they're not accommodating your schedule, essentially, when you need to do different things for your cancer treatment. Right. Okay. I was expected to come in and then go back out to the cancer centre, do the test, come back and then make sure I made my full time. Going home and working from home was not acceptable, yet a bunch of people regularly work from home. I lived in a big city. The cancer centre was 10 minutes from my house. Traffic could mean it was a 30 to 45 minute drive from work to the cancer clinic. It was terrible. Did you speak to anybody about this at the place, man? I mean, at this stage, I don't know. So after getting yanked around, I got my resume updated and decided to leave. My brother Carl had decided to relocate back to where my folks were, and my wife's family was from there, so I started looking for a job. I found one that was a title improvement. Big pay increase, and with the difference in housing costs, would let me buy a nicer place and have my wife stay at home with our kid. One of the best decisions I ever made. I was nervous about being a step low, or a step slow. I can see it, but the work is a lot of fun, impactful, and I've managed to grow a lot and make a big impact in this new role. The guy sent me off with an epic game where I brought out my entire Tau collection. What a big move it meant. Sorry, again, there are certain times where you write something and there should be a comma and you just go off into the next sentence. What a big move. It meant the hobby gets to be put aside for a while. Sorry, what? Okay, I'm going to read that again. I'm going to redo this in my brain. With a big move, it meant the hobby gets put to the side for a while. My wife and I had to prep the house for sale. I had to focus on the new job, and we had to buy a house in today's housing market, which is no freaking joke, let me tell you. Eventually, though, we got a house. Work was going well, and I got settled in enough that I could start playing and painting again. I managed to get a couple of friendly games in at the start of 10th, and the guys here seemed more competitively minded. I found that in this edition, my biker white scars really sucked. My Tyrannid monsters were horrifically bad, but my Tau were okay, because I had a lot of options available. I managed to do quite well early on in the edition, but I had more than a few of my opponents with a surprised and unhappy second, third turn concessions against me. But after a post-game chat about tactics and what halves I feel like I'm making a good impression, okay, which I obviously wanted to do. I also don't really talk about my cancer a ton in the hobby space, or at work. It's just nice to be Mark, and not be Mark who had cancer. Well, there's no reason to talk about it, man. You had it, now you don't. Just, there's no reason to talk about it. You don't need to talk about it. Well, a league has then opened up, and I jump at the chance. It's a 3-game tournament, but you have a couple of weeks to schedule your games. I get a first round win and then come into the second round and get paired into what amounted to a very noteworthy game of Warhammer with my second part of this hobby nightmare. I line up against a gentleman with my underdog Tau into his super meta dominating Eldar. He goes first and I buckle up. He runs up the middle field with confidence and kills a few of my units straight off. I then move my Tau into their appropriate shooting lanes with all supporting fire I think I need and dismantle his force. There were some rules disagreements. Naturally, it was the start of the edition. He rolled my dice to see if there were weights in them, despite the fact that they were clear casino dice. Oh my god. That's a bit of a... I want to roll your dice just to make sure they're not weighted. Alright, dude. Okay. He accused me of my rules always favouring me, to which I responded, yeah, of course. It's a competitive game, and I'm trying to put my guys in such a way as to take advantage of their rules, just like you are with yours, or you should be with yours. As he saw his army vaporized, he then yelled at me. I looked at him and say, hey, dude, I'm not cheating. These rules are the rules, and I've shown them to you multiple times. To which I get a very loud, I don't know, you aren't cheating. What? My answer was, if you're going to accuse me of cheating, do so. Otherwise, don't insinuate it. All the general rules disputes we took over to the other people. Even though I disagree with some of them and plan to look into it later, they all went your way. Well, after looking at the board at the end of my turn 1, he concedes. He then apologises and is flabbergasted as we go over the rules, points and combos my list used in detail. I don't get yelled at in games like this ever, let alone basically accused of cheating, but here I am trying to get a positive reputation in the community, and I've been getting yelled at and forced to defend myself against somebody who seems to be a decently big voice in the community. I wish it had ended there though. To my horror, after the game, I realised I misread my Devilfish's disembark and shoot rule. So while I had tried to play an up game in a tale as old as time, I misunderstood a rule. Was it a new edition, me slacking, or chemo brain? I have no idea. However, this was the tastiest game I'd ever been in, and I was trying to make a first good impression. Dude, I'm noticing you keep bringing up cancer. Do you know what I mean? You keep bringing it up. And, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it's on your mind more than it is on anybody else's. Like, are you actually disadvantaged by your treatment? If you are, then say in the Hobby Nightmare. But like, you know, you seem to fall back on it quite a lot. I think it's time to let go. I think it's time to let go, if you can. Time to move on. Anyway. However, this was the tastiest game I've ever been in, and I was trying to make a good first impression. So, I emailed the tournament organiser. I explain everything about the heated nature of the game, the misplayed rule, and everything as I saw it. I said I would go with whatever decision he came up with, but if he wanted me to drop out, I would take my lumps. It was an honest mistake. The tournament organiser reaches out to my opponent, and he agrees that the result was probably not drastically changed by this misread. My opponent declines an opportunity to replay the match, and I take a 20-point deduction, and the tournament organiser says that I should stay in the league. I do, and come in third, to the shock and surprise of a lot of people in the community. I was very relieved it didn't blow up further, to which I give my opponent a tremendous amount of credit. Okay. Seems like you guys were just, you know, oil and water, you know. Well, I then have a couple of strings of successes in our leagues and tournaments coming in, first in a tabletop simulator league. I also come in third in a tournament with 3 Toxicreens. I didn't deserve it, but I had a bye in the first round, and in the third round it was decided on the score because of time. My opponent clearly had me, but he was super slow to roll, and when we went to talk out the rest of the turns, he insisted on rolling pretty much everything. So the judges came by and were like, enough of this. Whatever the score is now is the final score. I started making some inroads and was making a reputation as a bit of a dark horse. On to the third part of this nightmare and the first world problem. Now, the really cool part is since these guys are a bit more competitively focused, people in the club were planning on doing a team tournament. Not only a team tournament, but back up to a town in Canada where I went to university and actually had friends. I was on that like a hawk. I pinched myself and was like, guys I lived with there would love to do something like this. Okay. even though I didn't know the big players all that well. The time came and teams had to be decided. The captain asked me to be their NID guy, to round out their race selection. He emphasised the monetary and time commitment. He said that if we lost one player and couldn't field the required 8 guys, there would be people out of a lot of money, so I had to be serious about going. I mentioned the wife had said go for it, I had time off, and I would be there ready to play. So I got to work making a good Tyranid list and painting it up and getting it dialed in. There was a good deal of work I had to put into it. The tournament eventually got changed to just outside of New York City due to the Canadian tournament having an issue with scheduling their venue. I bet it had something to do with COVID. God, that nation went down the pan during the pandemic. Anyway, then the wrench got thrown in. So one of the guys at my new job, I've really enjoyed being able to do... Rewind. So one of the things at my new job I've really enjoyed being able to do is travel a bit. Nothing crazy, but mostly a few days here and there around the US. Well, I got an email saying that one of our sister sites that is short on engineers needed an engineer to go to Prague and in the Czech Republic and to perform some tests on a piece of equipment before it gets sent over to the US. It will be about a week up in Czechia. It will also be a couple of weeks before the tournament, so the timing worked out great. The other engineer of my seniority had his daughter's wedding that week, so it was all mine. I was ecstatic. I wanted to travel the world after cancer, and this was a great opportunity. I tell my boss he needn't fly me out on Thursday, but instead on Sunday, as I'd hang out in Prague for a bit. I look for lots of things to do in Prague. Well, my buddy, the manufacturing manager, gets back a little later after some time off. I told him the good news about Prague. He looks at it though and says, "Wait, you and the other engineer are going to be gone? What if something goes wrong? Where's my support for this?" He talks with my boss and the trip gets delayed by 2 weeks. I was supposed to fly out on Saturday so that I would be ready to go to Prague on Monday. Alright. The tournament ended Sunday afternoon. List submission was due in a week and a half, and I was playing a bit of an off race. Okay, I don't know what that means. So finding a replacement would be tough. We had one substitute initially, but he was already filling in a spot for somebody else who had dropped out. The other engineer will be back from his daughter's wedding, and would have been totally fine with doing the trip to Prague. It was that week or bust for me. My conundrum was how to not screw over the other 7 guys who had laid out a lot of money for the tournament and take this awesome trip that would help out my career. In order not to take any chances on the trip, I reached out to my team captain. I wanted to see if he could find a replacement. They could have the hotel room and entry fee I had already paid for, and could borrow my jersey I bought if they'd wanted. Every lead came up dead. Of course. I'm going to take a quick drink here. Lovely stuff. So I went to my buddy, the manufacturing manager, who had put me in this predicament, and was like, "Dude, what do I do here?" He says, "Just get them to reschedule, fly out on Sunday from New York City, and have the vendor push back the testing back a day. The vendor should be able to accommodate that." I reached out to the other site, and they agreed. The trip is rescheduled. Now I just need to make sure I make my flight and don't get stuck in New York City traffic. I'll have to leave my Warhammer in the trunk of my car whilst I'm gone. Tournament prep goes well. We head over and boy, team tournaments are a lot of fun. Lots of camaraderie and positivity I really enjoyed. I played well in my games too. We ended up winning best spirit. During the last round, my team captain obviously is well aware of my timing predicament. I tell him, "Tell the other captain to please pair me with somebody who wants to just run into the middle of the battlefield and beat each other up. I need to leave as soon as I possibly can." I get paired into a Necron player and the game is over in just about an hour. I say goodbye to my teammates, pack up my stuff and run out to the airport. I made it to the airport in time and had a wonderful trip to Prague. Funnily enough, we were going to do the testing on Tuesday and Wednesday, but Tuesday night was Witcher's night, and Wednesday was May the 1st, so a big holiday over there. Which meant, besides writing up a report on Thursday, I really only worked a day and got to spend a week in Prague. Dude, you lucky, lucky bastard. You lucky bastard. Oh my god. As I said, this was a very first world nightmare. Oh my god. Boy, though, as I saw all of the dominoes falling into place, I'm happy that I was able to make it out. Well, there you have it. A bit of a combination of professional and hobby nightmare that somehow intertwined. Thanks, Mark. Dude, that's brilliant. In future, could you do me a huge favour? Read through your hobby nightmare before you send it in. I'd read the first part of that about the cancer stuff, which I thought was really interesting. And then I thought, okay, that's well written, moving on. But the rest of it, man, like, yeah, you just read through it and make sure it makes sense. Because it is enough, like... Anyway, moving on. Cassia Jim says... Hi, North. I've been having a resurgence of hobby time recently, and I love it. For a long time, I tried to get my life in gear to make sure my life was heading into the right direction. First, I got my job squared away in game design, and once that was done and I had a few friends, I ended up getting back into the hobby with my Black Templars. So what's the issue? Well, I've been single for 8 years. 8 years, North. This is not to say that I'm a bad-looking guy. I've been told by credible people, male friends that roast each other for the slightest thing, that I'm a good-looking guy and should be going on dates. But I'm not. It never used to bother me, as I was so busy and needing to get things done that, you know, it went over my head that I was single all the time and never really going on dates. Now that things are settled though, I'm looking around the room and seeing it full of dudes whenever I do my hobby. I'm heading out with friends for drinks, and we never go near women of any kind. I look around the table, and I start to resent the people I'm with because they're nerds. Hobby nerds. They don't want or care to be around women. But I do. This is turning into a bit of a complex, and it is a serious hobby nightmare for me, as I'm starting to think that I need to take a step back from the hobby to actually meet somebody. What do you think? Thanks a lot, Cassia Jim. Alright. This is the first of two kind of nightmares, but more, you know, mental health things, which is why I've changed it to be a bit of a 40k rant. I'm going to be completely honest here, dude. Do not give up on your hobby just because you want to meet a woman. That's some weak ass shit to do. Don't do that. Don't do that, right? Also, don't judge your friends just because they're comfortable in their own skin and they don't need women's approval to have a good time. Be very careful. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The best way to meet women is to have something better to do than meet women. It simply is. The best way to go out and meet women is to have something better to do than go out and meet women. Go out and have a good time with your friends, okay? Like I took a couple of friends out this Saturday, and this past Saturday we went out. We had lots of drinks. We had lots of good time, and they both ended up with multiple phone numbers. Yeah, I didn't, right? Because I'm off the market, right? So I would see it going that way, and I would excuse myself and go to another table or go to another group, right? But because they were out there having fun, watching music, just having fun together, people are naturally interested in the fact that you're having a good time. And they ended up getting numbers, right? They ended up talking to people and doing all that kind of stuff. So that is my advice. On the surface level stuff, don't judge your friends, please, for like being into the hobby and for not wanting to be around women when they're in the hobby. How do you know, number one, that these dudes aren't really good with women? Do you know what I mean? Because that's not what you've said. So be very, very, very careful about how you treat friends in this way. Yeah, I'll be very, very careful. Secondly, take the pressure off, dude. Alright? Just take the pressure off. You've got your job. Everything's going well. You've got your Black Templars. Everything's going well. You've got friends. Do you realise how rich you are? You've got a good job in game design. Good. You collect one of the most based brilliant armies in 40k, right? You've got lots of friends to go out and play your hobby with. And you go out for drinks with them as well on a regular basis. Dude, do you realise how rich you are? The only thing you haven't got there is vagina. That's the only thing you don't have. Okay? And let me tell you something. When you do get it, you'll wish you could trade it away. Most of the time. Most of the time. When you do end up getting laid and you're dating somebody, they'll be like, you know, a lot of these things will start to go away because they need to take precedence. So you'd be like, oh, actually, no, this is horrible, right? So just the way you're looking at it, the only woman you're going to meet with an attitude like yours is the wrong woman. Right? You need to chill out, sit back, have fun with your friends, and keep your eye open. Right? Remember the hobbyist Sarah that we have on? Keep your eye open for a woman like that. Right? You go to the hobby club, you chill out, you see a girl like that, she's playing Black Templars as well. Maybe I should put you in contact with her, actually. She's playing Black Templars as well, right? And you just... You hit it off, right? You go over and you have it... Yeah, can we play a game? Cool. Right, no worries. Second thing is, I don't care how good looking you think you are, go to the gym and work on your arms and shoulders. That's it. Wear nicely fitting t-shirts. Right, get your belly down if you've got one, and work on your arms and shoulders. You don't need a six-pack. You don't need a six-pack. You need strong, defined arms and shoulders. Right? Strong hands. And a flat-ish tummy. That's all you need. That's all you need. And you wear a nicely fitting t-shirt. It's nice and snug around the top half. Dude, dynamite. Make sure it's a dark colour too. Dynamite. Right? Then you go to a hobby store. And, you know, you have fun, but you keep an eye out. You have a little look around. Who's there? You know? Is there a young lady there who seems to be quite cool? If she is, go and play a game with her. Try and figure out what's going on in the game. You know? That's what you do. You have a good time first. You sort yourself out first. And you realise how rich you are, man. Take the win. Like, you've got a really good job, you're playing a good army, you're in a good hobby, you've got lots of friends that you go out with, you play the hobby with. Take the win. That's a win there. You've got 9 things out of 10, or whatever it is. That's a win. Stop bitching. Being serious. Okay? Alright. Ashton says, and this is our last one of the day. Hello, Northern Sage. Hello, sir. My name is Ashton, and I am the loneliest man in the world. I love it when you guys lead with things like this so I know where to put these hobby nightmares when they come in. I mean that. I was in a relationship for... Oh my god. I was in a relationship for 12 years that was so toxic, it basically chased off all of my friends, and when I finally got out of it and wanted to get back into the hobby, my friends had either moved away, stopped returning my messages and calls, or simply vanished. Now I am on my own, looking at the white dwarf I just got from the Warhammer store, and wondering what the fucking point was in any of this. My job is fine. I work from home in a similar role to yourself, but that doesn't let me get out and meet people a lot. I don't mean dating. I'm staying away from that for now. I just mean friends. I need to be around people again, but I am really not getting past that hump, dude. When I was in the relationship, I took my partner's side in most arguments, as you do, even against my friends and their advice. I don't think any of them will forgive me for that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you need to be... there's not much left to this, so I'll read the rest of it and then I'll come back. When things ended, it was her who walked away with somebody else, seemingly leaving me to hold the bag. Wow. Well, I have a lot of bitterness going on right now, and I don't want to use the hobby to escape. I want to use it to start to rebuild. But how the fuck do I go about doing that? Cheers, Ashton. Alright, lads. Please listen to what I'm about to say. If the woman you're with tries to get you to disagree with your friends, right? If the woman who you're with sets you up against your friends, You need to take a close examination on who this person is and what the relationship is like. A very, very, very close scrutiny of what's going on. I have very rarely come across a woman who goes against a man's friends for any other reason than she doesn't like them and she doesn't want them around you because she wants to control you and she wants to basically mentally abuse you. You know, again, every good relationship I've been in, like my missus now, the only reason she would go against any of my friends is if they did something really heinous, like really bad. You know? Other than that, she lets me handle my business. She doesn't pass comment. She's like, dude, you're a man. Sort your shit out, you know? You do it. They're your friends, you know? Which is good. She will support me if I come back and go, listen, this is really annoying me. What do I do? She'll support me, give me advice. But she won't alienate me from the people who like me. She won't alienate me from the people who are my friends, right? And she certainly won't talk about them behind their back towards me, mainly because I've got good friends. But even if I had one that wasn't a good friend, she'd let me come to that conclusion on my own. And then she'd agree with me, going, yeah, you know. I'm the same with her, by the way. But if you've got a girlfriend or a wife or whatever who consistently wants you to go against your friends, whether it be, you know, in an argument or whatever, you need to take a long, hard scrutiny of that relationship and who this person is who's asking you to do all these things. You know, bear in mind, your friends should not be able to, you know, they're there because they want to be there. That's the difference. Your friends are there because they want to be around you. They don't have to be around you, right? Your girlfriend, yeah, she can be there for the same things, but she might also be there for a meal ticket. She might also be there for other things other than enjoying your company. I'm sorry, that's just the way the world works. She might be there for other things, right? Where friends generally aren't, in general, right? So be very careful about where you place your trust. Do you know why? Because most women who do shit like that end up doing what happened to Ashton here. They go off with somebody else. They find a better meal ticket. Right? Because if you're a man who will take their word for it that all of your friends are dickheads simply because she's got a pair of tits, that woman then loses all respect for you. That's a bitch test. Right? Number one, don't be with people if they do bitch tests with you. If they test you, don't be with people like that. Number two, if you are insisting on being with somebody like that, make sure you treat them with you know, oven gloves. Because they will burn you, just like what happened to Ashton here. They will go off with somebody else, because they're always looking for a better meal ticket. Alright? Be very, very, very careful. Now, Ashton, here's what you need to do, my friend. Do not use that bitch as a one-size-fits-all descriptor for all the women in the world. Alright? It's very tempting to do so, but there are tons of women out there who are absolutely brilliant and will give you the time of day and you'll be able to go and date. So don't close your life to dating, and don't do this men go their own way bullshit. I've said it once, I'll say it again. That's giving up. That's some weak ass shit right there. That's weak. Right? People who tell you to give up are bitches. Sorry. Just how it is. People who tell you, well, if I'm not getting what I want, then I'm just not going to play. If I'm not getting the woman, this woman's not looking at me or touching my penis. I'm going to go my own way. I'm going to be a Sigma male. Like, no. Dude, you're a bitch. You're a bitch. Alright? Work on yourself. Get better. Realise where your blind spots are. Get in the fucking gym. Go pump some iron. Get on a treadmill and just walk for half an hour to 45 minutes a day. Get a sweat on. Buy appropriate clothes. Look at better jobs and training opportunities. Better yourself. Get better friends. But don't just sit there and say, I give up. Because no one wants to touch it. How pathetic do you think you sound? I don't believe in men going their own way. I don't. Right? I believe in men standing up for themselves. I believe in men making sure that they're handling their business and they're not taking shit from anybody, including women. But going your own way and just giving up is a bitch-ass thing to do. Sorry. This is what it is. Right? And it's not attractive to anybody. Not just women. Even your friends will go, ugh. Right, mate, go on then. Off you go, right? Because boobs are good. We all love boobs. Asses, we all love them. What's wrong with you? Fucking hell. Do you really think any of your great-granddads who were in, like, World War II ever needed to say, I'm going my own way because these women won't touch my pee-pee? Pathetic. Get to the gym. Anyway, what was I saying? What was I saying? Oh yeah, don't gauge all women by your ex, dude. That's not the right thing to do at all. Do not do that. Right? Do not do that. But getting out there and meeting people is the second half of your message is really good. Like, you want to get out there and meet people. You want to get out there and see people. What you need to do, mate, is I'm imagining you looking at this white dwarf in a darkened room. Mate, open the curtains, right? Go out. You've got a good job. That's what I said to the last lad as well. You've got a good job, right? You're able to work from home and decent job. Mate, you're winning at life. You're winning at life. You've got disposable income that you can spend on a hobby now. Mate, you've got a ready-made vehicle to make friends. Go to a gaming club. Go to a local store. Sign up for events. Start to learn the game. Be very honest about the fact that you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And get involved with passion and respect for the hobby. If you do that, mate, you'll make friends. You will make a lot of friends. Because that's what the hobby's for. It's literally a make friend simulator. That's what the hobby is. Without making friends, there is no hobby. There's a very good reason why the hobby exists and why it's so popular. Because people meet each other through the hobby and end up having a good time. You've got a ready-made tool there for making friends. And if you want to stick online, go on the Game Finder on our Discord. Use our Discord, man. It's an amazing tool for finding friends and finding people that you'll get along with, right? That's another great thing to do. And once you do that, start inviting people out. Say, hey, do you want to go for a pint? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? I did that, right? I've got multiple friends now who are from the Discord who I go for a drink with in my local area. You just get talking. And you go, all right, yeah, you think this, you think that. Let's go for a pint. And you go for a pint or whatever it is you want to do, and you just have fun. Do that. You have a multiple built-in tools there to actually go and make friends. Right? It's not a dark place you're at. You're not in a dark place. Let the sun in, mate. Alright? It's there. That's what I'm saying. It's there. Just let it in. All you got to do is let it in. The hobby is knocking on your door, bro. It's knocking on your door. Open it. Let the people in. That's what you need to do. Alright? Okay. Hopefully you guys got something out of this, or maybe you needed to hear certain parts of this hobby nightmare / hobby rant. I'll be back over the weekend for some streams where we're going to be doing some Tarkov and other bits and bobs. So, I love you all long time. I'll speak to you then, and have a good one. See you later. Bye now.